Everyone, we are back high with a brand new episode of CTL Speaks. This is Seth and Aubyn coming at you for the first of 3 episodes featuring Cheaper by the Dozen, which opens at the end of this month here at CTL. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Here we go.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't know.
Oh, man. Get ready. This is going to be the episode.
Yes.
Quintessential CTL Speaks happens right now.
Absolutely.
Aubyn, we're back.
We are back
with a new setup.
With a new setup. We're live and in person. We're trying something new. We're hoping it works.
We flew in a whole studio audience.
We did.
Brought them in.
We really thank you. Hold your applause.
That one for we paid them to be extremely silent, not laugh, not clap. We just want their presence. We're just
here.
feeding off of the energy
your presence. That's exactly right.
of the audience. I'm so glad we went through no expense for this brand new setup of the podcast.
Oh gosh.
Here in my office.
This is gonna be a great time. This is gonna be a really great time. I can already feel it. So we are here, as Seth said, on the first episode of our Cheaper by the Dozen preview. And here today with us, we have Tara Deljanovan and John Capo, who are playing the Gilbreth parents in Cheaper by the Dozen. So please introduce yourselves to the audience. Let them know who you are, where you come from.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
polite.
Hi, I'm John Capo, and as you said, I'm playing Mr. Gilbreth, the dad in the family, father of 12, married to Mrs. Gilbreth, played by Tara. This is my 4th or 5th show at CTL, depending on how you want to slice some of the shows that happened, almost happened, half happened during COVID. But I was directed by Seth in Mamma Mia, and I've been directed by Tara twice in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Miracle on 34th Street. And yeah, that's the intro, I guess.
Okay.
Audience.
Look at that.
Yeah, breaking attention.
Okay. My name is Tara Deljanovan. This is I don't know. I've lost count. I've been at CTL for about 7-ish years now. And this is my first time on stage since One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Aubyn. And no?
Mockingbird?
Or To Kill a Mockingbird. What did I say?
One
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Well, there's birds. So,
all those American classics.
I know. But I
that one.
directed Cuckoo's Nest. And I do costumes. And I will be directing Steel Magnolias in the spring. So I'm very excited for this season and for this show.
Great. We are so
The audience just jumped right in on that one.
so we are so
We give
excited.
them one line and they just roll with it. Man.
We are so excited to have you both here and to talk about Cheaper by the Dozen. And so why don't, just in case people for some reason have missed the story, can you give us a quick synopsis of what this play is about?
Tara?
You want me to handle that? Okay.
The English.
So, well, the Gilbreth family, we are 12 children and 2 parents. And the parents are experts in efficiency. Mother is a psychologist and dad is more of the engineer aspect of it. And dad runs a very tight ship. And the oldest daughter is kind of experiencing some growing pains while dad is also going through some things that are unbeknownst to the children. And it's just a very slice of life kind of look at this very unique family and their bond, and about how all families love and fight and make up and just are really there for one another through the good times and bad.
A beautiful story that I'm sure, although most of us hopefully don't have 11 siblings or 12 siblings, we all connect in one way or another to a family and what family looks like. And so I'm excited to see the perspective, and this is a movie or a play rather, that has been done several different iterations. And we've seen, I think there's a musical version, there's a play version, there's a movie version. And so I believe there is a musical version. Yeah.
I'm a little afraid of that.
Cheaper by the dozen.
I don't have any money for those rights.
We don't pay for that one. It's just the play. No music, just words. And so How do you approach, and we'll get to the before on stage things, but how do you approach this particular iteration of the show from the play and approaching these characters that are real life people who have lived real lives? How do you bring in history, and how do you bring in the different adaptations to your approach as an actor on stage?
I think Tara's done a lot more of this than I have, to be completely honest, with reading the memoirs of the main characters. So I've soaked up some stuff from that. And also Billy Martell, who's our assistant director, has done a lot of dramaturgy work with time period stuff and kind of fun facts about, the family that we get sort of on the daily in email or in other forms, and even made this really cool glossary of, what the time period was like, I guess. But just knowing the legacy of the book, I mean, when I told my mom I got cast, she's like, oh yeah, we had to read that in elementary school. Wow. And I didn't realize it was that ubiquitous of a book. And then going back, and I did watch the original film, and they're all quite different, the adaptations from this actual play. But the honor of the historic nature of the role is really cool and kind of rare.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I hadn't known this was a book. I hadn't known these were real people. I just remembered vaguely in the late 90s or early 2000s, there were like Steve Martin movies, yep. Cheaper by the dozen. And when I saw that this was going to be the play, I looked into it, but then I read the play description and I'm like, these two things are not matching up.
They're not soaking any pants
and then the 50s,
raw meat.
And the 50s movie as well is not true to the book, but the play is as true to the book as you can be. It is telling the story of this real slice in this family's life in 1924. So it's very interesting. For my character, I have been really delving a lot into it because Mother, you don't really know that Mother is as cool as she is and is influential on things that we do today through the script itself. So that's been helping me to like better form her character, because if you just read the script for the first act, you're just like, oh, she's just like a really nice mom. Yeah. You don't find out that she was an innovator. She's the reason we have the push pedals to flip up the lids on the trash cans, and we have the fancy stuff on your door in the fridge and light switches and things like that. So it's been cool to find out those things and just how influential both of the parents were on things that we still do today. Like he created this touch system, which is this way, it was like the precursor to the home row, the way to type, so they've done a lot of things that really have impacted what we're still doing in 2023 and how we live our lives on the daily, which has been very cool.
Well, that was news to me. But so Tara, you briefly mentioned before you auditioned for the show, you had only kind of known the Steve Martin, and so what was it that drew you? And we'll start with Tara. So John, you're still thinking about the question, but Tara, what was it about Cheaper by the Dozen, the title, that drew you into wanting to audition for the show?
I think because I did get a copy of the script and I really liked the script. I liked the camaraderie of the family, and I thought it would be great to be able to interact with so many wonderful theater kids, and to get both of the adult female roles in the show are not roles that I typically am cast for. Okay. So I thought I'm probably not right for these roles. But I do like to get the experience to audition. So I thought I'll just go and see what happens. And for some reason, I'm now playing Mother. So
worked out.
It did.
Yeah, and I had heard of the movie as well, obviously. I did not decide, and this is not a line, but I did not decide to audition until 6:30 the night before and walk out the door on the second night of auditions of my house. Reason being, I also read the script and had just sort of, I mean, we didn't just do Miracle, but it feels like we just did Miracle, even though that was a long time ago, I guess now. And you go, it takes a lot of time to do these things. So you're always weighing like, wow, this is a pretty big role. This means I'm going to be there 3-4 nights a week and stuff. And I read it, and I actually, the first time I read it, as I was flipping the pages, I was like, no, I don't think I can bring anything to this. I don't think I can add anything to this. And it was the last page of the script that changed it for me, which recontextualizes the whole tone of everything that came before it. So I think if audiences are willing to go along on that journey with the family to see what all the fun was really about, then that's why I left the house at 6:30, walked here and auditioned.
Yeah.
It really was that last minute.
So with the story, obviously you've got 12 kids. So you were both the parents to 12 kids, although I don't think all of them are seen on stage. I think
we talk about the babies upstairs.
They're chilling out in the country somewhere, hanging out. And so what is it like for you? And Tara, you've directed high school before. John, I'm not sure of your theatrical background and what you've done, but maybe this is the first time you've worked with kids on stage as an actor. So what is that like, balancing the life of an adult actor on stage who maybe has a little bit more experience, but then also all your counterparts on stage who are much younger than you playing your children, and kind of trying to maybe guide them, mold them through the process.
Basically, Aubyn wants to know who's the most annoying kid. And what
No,
kids
I
do
would
we
never,
like?
I would never ask that. It would never be the question.
It's that sixth one, isn't it?
It's the babies.
It's
If
the
they were
babies
willing- if they were
there.
willing to
That's why we
have-
don't let them out.
if they were willing to have that many more, they had to be some. I don't know.
We'll say it's the fifth one, but we won't say it from oldest or youngest.
Do you want to handle it?
I mean, we can both. I mean, so isn't there a joke about like with actors, like don't act with kids or animals because they tend to upstage.
I got both of
they're
them.
inherently cuter than
Yeah.
adults, and we do have both. So we have lots. And for me, actually, that has been. I always hate to speak in absolutes, but probably the best part of the rehearsal process has been the natural shot of serotonin that is coming to our rehearsals and watching a bunch of kids, specifically to see them get a laugh for the first time. And in some cases, like with Carter, who we just learned, I think you were in when we were talking about this, has never done a show before. The first laugh they've ever gotten was the first time he did the line.
Yeah.
And we were there for that.
Yeah.
And wherever he goes, wherever we go, like even if we never do a show together, that's something I'll remember. And as a kid who did theater, I'm sure he might as well. So those little moments have been really, really cool.
Yeah. The kids are phenomenal. I mean, besides the fact that they're cute as anything, they are hard workers. And I directed high school kids and they were all great, but I will say this is the biggest age range of children I've worked with on one show. I mean, we've got 7-year-olds and we've got, late teenagers, and it's just a really good mix of kids, and to see them become their characters. And some of them are even just referring to one another by their character names backstage, which I love. Love it. It's been very fun. So.
And if we could pause, I hear Harrison has some notes for you on that answer.
He probably does.
That's actually
and I should
something
take them. Yes.
that happened.
Oh.
Harrison, who is awesome and
he cracks us up. We love him.
Like so funny. But one day towards the end of rehearsal, he was like, Kaylee, will we be doing the part of the rehearsal where I can give everyone else notes? And I think we all were like smiling and joking, but in my head, I was like, you go, Harrison. You go.
We've all been there. We just don't
we've all,
have the
like,
gumption.
Right.
No, like,
to
you're
say it,
like
you know?
11.
Honestly, he would give me a note and I would take it because
I would too. I'd be scared.
he would be right.
It almost feels like that kid in the class. It's like, teacher, did we have homework last night?
I did pages 11 through 13 every other.
But he is hysterical, and he probably honestly was the first of us to be off book, which is like kudos to him because still mumble act 3. But yeah, so we have really enjoyed the kids, and every night one of them will do something that will just be like, that's the talk of our rehearsal backstage for the next 15 minutes. It's just because we just really are enjoying these kids that much. So it's very fun. So it's easy to play their fake parents. So
Very much.
Hit us with another one, Aubyn. What do you got?
All right. So we talk a lot about themes in this show, right? There are a lot of different things that you can take away. As you mentioned, we've got families and the just natural familial drama that happens. You've got the dad who's kind of got some stuff behind the scenes that the kids don't know about. So what are some of the most important, or what is the most important theme to you? And what do you think that audiences should take away from the show? That's a tough question.
Well,
Getting deep.
here you are.
wow, putting us on the spot. Do you need a moment? Because I can ramble if you need me.
You
got it?
Ramble.
Well,
The thing I think audience should take away from the show, that part of the question is, life is full of amazing moments, but can also throw you some curveballs. So take advantage of every moment and every person in your life.
and you have that line that you say a few times about time.
Time is so precious.
Yeah. It's definitely. I mean, I think I connect with what's going on a personal level because I did lose my dad. Now, I wasn't a teenager like these kids, but that definitely resonates with me about that. Make each moment great and don't take it for granted, because you never know when you're going to wish you had more time.
Right.
I never thought of that, but my dad died when I was 18.
Yeah.
So I guess it does resonate.
Yeah. I mean,
And I almost wonder how that, now that you kind of make that connection, how that will resonate in your character and how as actors, we're always learning, we're always taking things from random places. And so you find that shot of serotonin from the kids, as you mentioned, but now it's just a new kind of perspective that you can look at on the story and say like, oh, wow, like I've been there. I know what this is like. I know what that looks like, feels like. And it's just such an interesting perspective, I think, that adds to the story and will make it that much more real, which I think is very special.
When I think there's something really like, I feel like we'll talk about in future podcasts. But I feel like there's something really beautiful about, like John, you hinted at that last page and snapping the rest of the show into a certain perspective that it wasn't there for. So there's something really beautiful watching this family not know what's coming, not everyone know what's coming. And then hauntingly beautiful when it does come into reality of they're able to appreciate what they have right now. That we don't always get in real life because we don't know what that last page says, so we don't know what to appreciate at the moment. What's that? So obviously these are heavy subjects. What's that like in a rehearsal room with 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and talking about feelings that they themselves can't really even comprehend, describe? Because some of them, I mean, I didn't lose anyone really big in my family until I was in college. So, I mean, going through that as an 8-year-old is really different than an 18-year-old or a 28-year-old or a 38-year-old. What's that? Has that happened? Has any conversations like that happened, or has everyone kind of just they've been great at accepting the material and the story? And
well,
I don't know.
It's been unspoken.
unspoken, and I think because the younger children aren't aware of it at all.
Yeah.
It's the 3 oldest children, because the 2 are narrating the show, and looking back, they know. But in the real time of the show, it's just one who knows.
Right. But what's funny is, like, in the last scene, the way it's staged, I think I'm the only one facing the kids for that last page of dialogue we keep going back to. And to see their faces, even the little ones, they get it.
Yeah.
I think they get
like
what's
they know what's
happening,
happening.
and whether that's because they actually get it or they're just seeing the actors playing their
kids.
siblings' faces and kind of. So, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, because I'm facing you, so I don't, and I'm with the kids, so I don't see. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Well, that's something very cool to watch as an audience member. Then, when you're listening to this pre-show, to watch that staging in those last couple moments and how that hits in particular.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned a little bit about, and you both have mentioned kind of bits and pieces of how the show is written. And Tara, you mentioned the third act. Is there an actual act 3? Is it an actual
There are
three-part?
there are
Okay.
3 different acts. Yes.
And so we've got a show that happens in 3 acts, and we also, unbeknownst to me as well, we have narrators throughout the production. And so how does the story balance I'm a narrator looking at things that have happened in the past and connecting through and making sure that it's kind of that seamless transition? So what does the story look like from that perspective, if you can share any of that without going into too much intricate details about the story? And
You want to take that?
a tough question.
Sure. A lot of the acts start out with the 2 siblings playing themselves as older and narrating, and then they kind of step back. They step into the scene of the family's daily, and it's not just at the beginning, but there's a couple times through the different acts too, where it's a scene change. So we have them narrating again, and then they kind of involve themselves into what's going on with their siblings back when they're teens.
Is that a challenge to I don't think I've ever been in a production where that kind of story takes place in that way, where you're stepping in and out of, for an audience member, or even an actor on stage. How do you think that process plays out, maybe from the other side? Or maybe you don't know. Maybe that's just too much of a hypothetical.
Might be in next week's episode.
It could be in next week's episode from the kids.
You might want to talk
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because Elijah and Briley are the 2 that probably have it the hardest when it comes to that framing device, because they have to do this sort of serious, sort of as adults, young adults looking back. And then, like Tara was saying, it's very seamless how they literally just step into the scene and have to revert back to the younger versions of themselves. So I would imagine when you talk to them, because I think you're talking to them, right?
Yeah, next week we'll hear from them.
I would imagine it's actually pretty difficult for them, and I never stopped to really think about that.
Yeah, I think it would be challenging even as an adult at first. I've never played a role like that. I would imagine it would be a little tough.
Like Andrew's role in Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, it's true.
Moments where he steps out.
Yeah, that's true.
Chief Bromden, similar.
Yeah,
And a lot of the Neil Simons have something similar,
yeah.
because that's also direct addressed sort of to the
Yeah,
audience. But
yeah.
yeah.
So you have to tune in next week for the real answer to that question. It'll air the same time as this one, so you'll
The next
you'll
generation.
see us with the younger kids and getting to see their perspective. But I think the great thing about a series like this, where we talk with different members of the cast, and we're going to talk with Kaylee, the director, as well. We get to see everyone's perspective, and you really get to see the show from a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
As you go through the process, and you've kind of highlighted some moments right now already, but what are some of your favorite moments that you've experienced in the rehearsal process, just the rehearsal process in itself, but also as moments of the show that you look forward to audiences seeing? What are some of those favorite moments for you?
Tara smirked first.
Oh, I'm just thinking we do a warm-up game, and some of the kids get very cutthroat.
I'm just glad to be called a kid.
Yeah, I know.
John has punched 3 of the children.
So many.
Well,
They're sleeping upstairs.
And it's very funny because it's one of the, it's kind of like musical chairs where, like, if you're last, you're out, you and your partner are out, and so they'll be screaming like, "Tara, over here, John, over here!" And if you don't make it and you're out, boy, you get the evil eye when it's like you have to go sit down. So yeah, that's been very fun. I think it's been really doing I feel like it's really brought us together closer as a cast with these kids, because clearly we're so much older than these kids and we're not as hip as some of these kids and what they talk about. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but I think it's getting them more comfortable with us and vice versa. So that's been really fun for me.
I like talking to the cast about Olivia Rodrigo because I'm a huge fan, and so are a lot of them. And she dropped a big album 3 weeks ago.
I missed it.
I didn't.
I missed it.
Not
Our studio audience is going crazy though. Was she driver's license?
Yes,
she was.
That is
yeah. 3 years ago, she was.
That's all like 3 years ago.
That was a COVID song, right? That is 2020?
Sure.
2021?
Oh, yeah, that's the
So that has. You don't know it either.
I know who she is.
Was she on High School Musical, the musical? The series?
Yeah, the series. Yeah.
Sure.
Then yes.
So that's been fun. But in terms of show stuff, specific lines, let's vote. This will make sense if you see the show, but let's vote.
It's
when you see the show.
When you see the show.
That is
Add it again.
Yeah.
That line.
Yeah.
These are all kids' lines. We don't
Yeah.
have good lines. The kid, come see the show for the kids. We will also be there.
the I will be its master.
Yeah.
That's one of my
And
favorites.
he's like 4 years old.
I know he's
Like,
adorable. But my favorite line that you do is about how much fun we have at home with our projects, and it's just it's
Better in
hysterical.
context.
Yes, it is. It really is. The kids have
yeah.
such great lines, and the sisters are also very different and have their different personalities. And I just love that Martha is just so enamored with boys, and then you have Lillian, the middle daughter, and she's kind of a creeper with some of her lines
Yeah.
and things that she's interested in.
two-headed boy.
Yeah, the two-headed boy thing that's hysterical. Yeah.
And I would just add that after being directed by somebody twice or once, or whatever it is, to be able to be on the stage with them is actually so different, but so nice. When you're being directed, you all, you know what I mean? Like, there's a distance, right?
Yeah,
Like, and
for
it's
sure.
it's not like a crazy distance, but you know, but to be able to turn to you and to have you backstage and to say, what do you think of this line or choice as an actor as opposed to director has been really nice.
Well, it's nice too because I don't answer your question with a question like I do when I direct. So.
That's, that's the teacher.
Yeah,
right?
that is also true. But yeah, so that really has been nice to have that, and I think it's worked out well for us as actors that we've worked together before, because with this show and the context, but also you have to create a convincing family and you have to be able to do the fun stuff and do the more emotional stuff. And if you don't know one another, I think it takes longer to like find some sort of a connection. So it's been like really nice to work with somebody that I already trust and I don't have to build that up. So
for sure.
Exactly.
Seth, you look like you were going to say something.
Well, no, so I was thinking because you both have, I mean, over the last decade, you both have become staples in the CTL family. So looking at your past resumes here, like John, you last holiday season with Miracle on 34th Street, and then looking at Mamma Mia, like there is a wide gamut between those two characters of like just like anything you want to talk about. Like they are both on opposite ends of the spectrum. So where does father literally spectrum? Where does father land in terms of like, are you pulling from anything that audiences might have seen you in before as father, or do you think father is now a third kind of leg of that triangle? And Tara, the same thing. Like you've like our first sight of you in the Crucible was completely different than what we saw as the neighbor lady in Mockingbird.
right.
So like where does mother fall in that line? Like are you drawing from either of those characters as mother, which I hope maybe not.
And I wouldn't even say I actually Denise Clark is playing the teacher slash psychologist, and my second show with CTL I played Sister Clarissa, and I got to beat the crap out of her son because I was a nun and I kept hitting him with things. And I don't even think I'm pulling the disciplinarian, even because mother is not a disciplinarian. Mother is warm and caring, and you know, and so this is really unlike anything I've played here before. So I can't say I'm pulling from anything. I mean, do you think you're pulling from anything?
I mean I guess the more melancholic moments harken a little bit back to Cheswick in Cuckoo's Nest a little bit, you know, and the sillier ones would be closer to Sawyer in Miracle on 34th Street, sort of. And then I was so lucky that they let us, like, that they're letting me sing SOS.
Right in the middle of Act 2.
In the middle of Act 2.
I'm glad we got those ABBA right. It was really hard.
Which brings in the Sam from Mamma Mia. So
I didn't know
All
I
9
didn't know
children
happened
are
in
also in just
1924.
flared outfits
just
behind
their
her. The
outfits.
father has taught a
And-
complete synchronized dance.
Yeah.
The dog is involved.
Mhm.
Sounds fantastic.
Mother is just sitting in a chair watching and very confused.
Well, we can't win them all.
No,
You
we can't.
be
We
in
can't.
every dance.
No, we can't be.
Well, we decided to make Cheaper Brother Dozen the musical, the series.
Part 2, musical the series. There you go.
You know what I would say though is actually a really good answer to that question is so we did Next Fall,
Yeah.
which was a reading, right? And there was a small audience and also
Mhm.
live streamed and stuff like that. And we had a totally different character dynamic and stuff. But that might be the one, if not for character necessarily, but relationship wise,
Mhm.
that was easiest for me to default to with this
Mhm.
because it's you,
Yeah.
even though.
And we had a really nice scene in that show, in that reading together that I think, yeah.
So I think that
Yeah. I feel like that needs to be, that was a really good script. I really love that. I love that show.
we talk about that. a
We
lot.
do. Yeah. We're like,
For something that was one night
we're like
versus Mamma Mia, which was like 74 performances. Like, this was the first time I talked about
Yeah.
Mamma Mia. I mean, I talk about it all the time. Right?
So thankful for all experiences and all the shows we've ever been a part of. There we go.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so we are just very excited as we kind of wrap up. We are just very excited to bring this story to the CTL stage once again. This show was first done here at CTL in 2009. And so 14 years later, so much has changed actually. And we'll get to see this and we'll talk about it a little bit with Kaylee, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks. But Kaylee was actually in the production when we did it here in 2009. And so it's such an interesting
And the
look
dog.
for her.
We brought back the dog.
Yeah, same dog.
Is
That
it
would
the
be
same dog?
That would be impressive. That'd be incredibly impressive. But Kaylee has been
Mummified?
Literally the same dog.
yeah. So it's gonna be so interesting to get to see for her and to talk with her about how she looks at things differently 14 years later, having been in the production and now gets the opportunity to direct the production. So very excited for audiences to see that as well. But I just love these behind the scenes, behind the curtain kind of looks at the show to see what the actors feel, because I feel like we go through shows and go through so long of a rehearsal process, or here most times so short of a rehearsal process, and people don't get to understand how much work and thought really goes into what happens on stage. And so I want to thank you both, John and Tara, for being here with us. Audiences, please make sure that you get your tickets. They are on sale now at ctlshows.com. Cheaper by the Dozen opens in a few short weeks, October 20th through the 22nd, and the second weekend from the 26th through the 29th. So please make sure to get your tickets now. John and Tara, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you and your insights into the characters, into the story. Get your tickets, ladies and gentlemen. This has been another episode of CTL Speaks with your co-host, Aubyn.
And Seth. Bye.